Men around the world, let's unanimously stop saying this foolishness. Women, men need sex just like women need romance. I will elaborate on that. But before I go any further, please subscribe to this channel. My name is Mighty Man Caleb, and this is my variety channel where hopefully everybody can find something that they enjoy. Mainly, I've just been doing talking head videos and Japan vlogs, but I plan on doing all sorts of stuff in the future. This is still a very new channel, not even 100 subscribers yet, but I would appreciate your support so that I can meet my goal. Love you guys so much. Let's get into the video. Now let's get this out of the way real quick. I'm not a guru, and I'm gonna be speaking very generally. Sex and romance are not trivial at all. They are extremely important for the health of the relationship. Without that, the relationship will probably just stop dead in its tracks, and it could lead to a pretty ugly end if you don't fill your partner's love tank properly. I've talked to a few male friends and maybe one female friend who have talked about the fact that their wife isn't giving them enough sex or their husband isn't giving them enough romance. And what I've gathered from these types of conversations is that sometimes, maybe not all the time, but sometimes their partner just doesn't understand why their husband needs so much more sex than they do and why their wife needs so much more romance and dates than they do. But let me tell you this right now, listen very carefully. You don't need to understand the full reason why they need that. You just need to know that that is a fact. For example, we know that cars need gas to move, but we don't fully understand the reason why. I'm sure a lot of us aren't mechanics and can't fully explain why cars need gasoline to move, but we know that that is a fact. You know that if you don't fill your car's gas tank, it'll one day stop in the middle of the road, ruin your day, cost you a lot of money, and force you to call a tow truck. Same with the relationship. If you don't fill your partner's love tank, they'll just stop loving you. That is just a fact. I'm not saying this to make people scared. I'm not saying this to threaten men and women around the world. If a man does not receive enough sex, then his thoughts might become deviant, and if a woman doesn't receive enough romance, her thoughts might become deviant. What will that look like? Well, a man might run to pornography, a man might start finding interest in other women, or he just might lose complete interest in the relationship in general because his love tank isn't being filled and his heart isn't being nourished. Same with a woman. She might become a little bit more cold and have more attitudes, might start fantasizing about men who can supply her with more or better romance, or just lose interest in her husband because her love tank isn't being filled and her heart is not being nurtured. Now listen guys, I know that a lot of us are busy. We have jobs, we have families, some of us might have one or more children, and sex and romance can easily be pushed to the back of our minds. But I'm gonna need you to bring that to the forefront because it could lead to the end of your relationship. And sometimes, you know, once we get so busy, we can just forget to supply these things to our partner. So do what you have to do to remember, because there is a lot riding on sex and romance. Put it in your calendar, set reminders on your phone, write sticky notes. Do what you have to do to remember. When life gets busy, sometimes I forget to plan dates. So I always have to take notes and write stuff down so that I do not forget, straight up. And listen, everybody, I know that we're not always in the mood to do those things, but that's where love comes in. If you love your partner, you'll make that sacrifice to give them what they need to fill their love tank. Now man, I know that when we think of romance, we often think of taking our wives out on dates or buying them flowers, something that costs money. But there's many things that you can do that doesn't cost money. You just have to get creative. For example, here's a scenario. Actually, you know what? Let's not even make this a scenario. Do it right now. Once this video is over, go find a video on how to give massages. And then once you finish watching that video, go to your wife and say, hey babe, I've really wanted to give you massages. So I watched the video and I learned how to give amateur massages. Do you mind if I try it out on you? You know, I don't think many wives would be repulsed by that. I think they may be flattered about the fact that you are thinking about them in their free time and that you would do that for them. Women, just have more sex with your husbands. Now, I know I said that very simply and bluntly, but the reason I said it that way is because men, we're not very sexually complicated creatures. It doesn't take much for us to get in the mood. All it takes for us is to see a little bit of skin, some cleavage. Anything can just trigger us and put us in the mood like that. Don't overcomplicate it. You know your husband to some degree, so just have sex with your husband. I'm sorry that I said it so simply and so bluntly. Now, there's a lot of overlap between sex and romance. You know, having sex can be very romantic, and a lot of women out there, the form of romance that they want the most could be sex. Generally, men have a much higher sex drive than women. Generally, women have a much deeper desire for romance than men. But we definitely enjoy both. I enjoy going on dates with my wife and giving her massages, and I'm sure a lot of other men can agree as well. And I'm sure a lot of women can agree that they enjoy having intercourse with their husbands. Now let me close by saying a few things. Here is the unfortunate relationship between sex and romance. And if you guys disagree, please write it in the comments. I'm not coming to you guys as a guru that knows everything. This is what I believe to be true, and I am always willing to change my mind and change my opinion if somebody brings up a pretty, good argument. So let's have a discussion. But I think the unfortunate relationship between sex and romance is that if a man supplies a woman with enough romance, then he'll most likely get more sex. But I don't think if a woman supplies a man with more sex, then she'll get more romance. Now, the reason I say that is because I think it's really easy for men to be under the impression that the relationship is going well and that they don't need to do anything more than what they're doing right now if they're getting enough sex, if they are sexually satisfied. So, women, you might have to have a conversation with him and be honest. These conversations are not easy and there's no perfect time to have them, but you have to let your husband know that romance is very necessary for this relationship to continue, just like how you having sex with him is necessary for him to want to continue this relationship. Maybe even show him this video. So that's the unfortunate relationship between sex and romance, in my opinion. And let me close by saying this. Men around the world, let's unanimously stop saying this foolishness. Let's stop saying, I will buy you flowers when you ask me to. I will take you on dates when you ask me to. That is the least romantic thing I've ever heard in my life. Romance involves some spontaneity. You have to surprise your wife. You have to hit her with something that she does not expect. That's when you get the and the tears and the oh my gosh, I love you so, that's when you get those reactions. You don't get those reactions by taking her order and then giving it to her exactly how she wanted it. That's just not how they want their romance. Anyways, guys, I've said enough. Please let me know what you think about this topic. Let me know if there's any other topics that you want me to cover. Let me know if there's something that I said that you want me to elaborate on, and let's have a discussion. Subscribe and share this video with your friends and family. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Peace.